Thanks. So yeah, I'm Erin from Fortune. I'm not used to saying that yet. I was at a tech blog for a while. How many people in the audience are interested in brick and mortar retail? Okay, and how many in e-commerce? You can do both also. Okay, that's a good mix. So I personally am more interested in e-commerce because I'm a tech writer, but we're gonna focus a little bit on both. And so I kind of want to start with a saying in e-commerce that's very famous, and I think it's relevant here, and that is, if it has a UPC code, Amazon is going to kill you. And that basically means that anything that's a standardized good will have to compete on price against the behemoth that is Amazon, and that's a very bad business to be in. You probably won't win. So we have 4 companies on this panel that are doing things without UPC codes. They're selling really special items that are, curated, and they're creating experiences that can't be duplicated by the giant that is Amazon. So, they have taste. They're using that to their advantage. So I'm going to let them all explain exactly how their businesses are doing that, and then we can talk about curation, the challenges of curation, the future of retail, all of that stuff. So take it away. Yeah, go ahead. Let's just go down the line one by one. You guys are better at talking about your businesses than me.
I'm Rachel Shechtman. I'm the founder of a store called Story. And just out of curiosity, by a show of hands, it's a physical store. It has walls and space. It's 2,000 square feet. Show of hands, how many people have heard of it or been there? Put your hand down if you've been there. So I'm just curious. Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay.
Great recognition.
Yeah. So here's the concept. Point of view of a magazine, changes like a gallery, sells things like a store. We reinvent the entire space, all 2,000 square feet of it. New design, new product, new merchandise, everything. It's about bringing content, commerce, and community to life. So we've done everything from a wellness story, a love story, a made in America story, a making things story. And so I love online retail. I sat on a bunch of advisory boards. I've worked with 2 out of the 3 of these folks up here, and I'm proud to be in their company and just excited to have the conversation tonight.
Awesome.
Okay, hi, I'm Shauna, and I'm the founder of Aha Life. And what we are is a platform celebrating creativity and protecting creativity, supporting designers around the world across your entire lifestyle. And I started the company really kind of exactly to Erin, what she was saying. I was very frustrated with Amazon of lacking a discovery destination for shopping for niche cool brands. And having lived in Stockholm, Sweden, Tokyo, Japan, Hong Kong, China, etc., all over the world, just felt that I wanted a place that was inspiring for me. I wanted a place where I could have that aha moment, hence Aha Life. And our company's been around for 3.5 years. Really what we pride ourselves on is creating services and tools for our brands so that they can build digital storefronts that they're proud of, tell their own story, and have an audience that they can directly reach. Last week, actually, we launched 2 properties, which shows you the extension of how we think and work as a company. We launched Aha Noir, which is like Aha Life. It's a curated community of products and brands that are dedicated to the adult sex category in the premium segment. You can check it out. It's very, very sexy. And we also just launched a partnership with media companies with Condé Nast, and today we announced our partnership with Glamour magazine. So we are actually white labeling not only our technology as well as our catalog, of allowing Glamour magazine in celebration of their 75th anniversary to be able to shop the pages of the magazine and shop the pics from their editors, read the stories, and be able to buy unique products that you can't find on Amazon.com.
I don't know how to compete with Aha Noir, I'm sorry. My name is Amanda Peyton. I'm the co-founder of Grand Street. Grand Street is a marketplace for creative technology. So we sell all kinds of new electronics, everything from sensors, Bluetooth speakers, everything that's kind of unique and interesting and emerging in the hardware space. One thing that we found was, 5-10 years ago, there was really 4 or 5 brands total in electronics, and they were kind of very standardized and sterile. And what's been happening over the past few years is there's been emergence of small makers, small design shops that are making very, very cool new electronics. And so we build software tools to help these makers find distribution. So everything from helping them sell, taking photographs, things like that. But for me, it's always been all about electronics. I love new gadgets. I love technology. And so this is sort of like my favorite things every single day. So it's very exciting.
Cool. Hi, my name is Claire Mazer. I'm the co-founder of a company called Up a Kind. We sell the pieces and tell the stories of emerging designers. So we've been around now since a little over 3 years, and what we've done primarily for the last 3 years is identify designers that we love, primarily in the fashion space, although we've started moving into home, and we commission them to create limited edition pieces that are exclusive to Up a Kind. And we release them in conjunction with a series of stories about the designers. And the stories are anything from a tutorial to how the designer made the piece, to something like a photo diary of the trip that the designer took to South America to source the leather that she used to create the purse that we're selling. And the stories are really meant to create context and create an emotional connection for the pieces that we're selling, because we think that makes it a little bit more meaningful for our customers. And recently we opened up a new section of our site called Collections, which allows the designers who we feature to sell their entire collections through us, because what we're finding is that our audience is really falling in love with the designers who we feature through the stories and through the products. So we wanted to open up their entire collections.
Awesome. Let's start by talking about, so there's a couple of elements that I think we should focus on. Like, there's the stuff, there's the experience, and then there's actually finding the people to buy them and the experience. So let's start with the stuff. How do you find cool shit?
For us, it's really personal. So my business partner is sitting in the audience, and we've been friends for over 10 years, and we find stuff that we like. That's what we do. It's really that simple. It speaks to us, and we hope that our audience will like it too.
I guess my question on that is, so the title of this is curators, and like, can anyone be a curator? For me, it's just like the word curating means just picking stuff, but I feel like you have to have a taste level. There's like sort of an art to it. It can't be really automated. Like, how do you guys curate and find things and like figure out what kind of fits into your source?
Yeah. So when I founded Aha Life, being the head of it, my job was to kind of go and curate the best across your lifestyle, which I found to be really difficult, because I like certain things like design, but there were other topics like food that I didn't know that much about. So I fell onto this idea of curation kind of by accident, because I emailed actually Danielle Ballud, who happens to just be a personal friend of mine, and I said, I'm starting a website, and you're a food expert. Can you please tell me some of your favorite niche food brands? And I know how busy he is, and I thought he may send me 1 or 2 names, but he ended up sending me an email with 20 different niche food producers that he thought we could actually go and feature on our website. And that's how curation started for us. We actually ended up building out a pretty wide network of curators. So from like a Danielle Ballud in food to Deepak Chopra, who actually curates and co-produces a lot of well-being products for us. We work with people who are the experts. You may or may not know them. These 2 are obviously household names, but we also work with the best, like perfumer, people that you haven't heard of. They're actually experts at curating the best in class within their expertise, and that's how we work to find the best products in the world.
So the other 3 of you are the experts, essentially, right? Like, you can curate your own store.
So I have 3 categories, right? So 1 is experience, 2 is partnership, and 3 is democracy. Experience, I was 12 years old. My mom took me to the Javits Center to the New York Gift Show to buy bat mitzvah favors, wholesale, of course. And so it was a beach theme, for those of you who are wondering, inner tubes and inflatable palm trees. No, but literally two aisles later, I looked at her and I asked the question that would change my life, which is, you can shop for a living? So A, I started learning about these vendors early on. B, I say partnership because when we told a Made in America story, we partnered with Flint and Tinder, which is an amazing online startup who makes socks and underwear and denim in America and curates amazing Made in America brands. So we know a little about a lot of things, and so we partner with experts to help us, similar to Shauna, to curate, and Brika, another online marketplace, helped us as well. And then the third, I say democracy, which is my passion in this part of our business, which was an accident. So we do something called pitch night. So once a story, it's an open call. You make something that is physical and ready to be sold, you pitch it to us. We bring in other retailers and members of the media to create access, kind of like an offline living, breathing child if Kickstarter and Etsy had a baby. And you get 3 minutes to pitch your product. And so there is so much product in our store from people who pitch. My necklace, which is my favorite, it's a hidden message. There's letters on the bottom of it. You know, this is someone who had never sold anything in her life and within a year was doing 6 figures on her website for being in a random store on 10th Avenue and 19th Street. So that's my favorite part of curation.
Do you guys have an online curation part too? Or
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the key to curation is about passion, right? That's your one sort of piece of ammunition against Amazon, is that you have so much passion for the category that it sort of overwhelms, and hopefully if you have a digital experience you can make it come out in sort of digital ways. And so, you know, for us it's you know, everyone who works at Grand Street is just obsessive about this stuff. Like, we sit there in the conference room, you know, looking at backup batteries, right? And it's just like, most people don't give that a second thought, you know, but it's about the size, and it's about the cap, and it's about, well, you know, how long does it last, and how many charges do you get out of it, and you know, how versatile is it, and I mean, on and on and on and on, right? And for us, that's just like life, right? And it's, you know, there's this one, if you want to buy it, it's called the Dark Energy Reservoir. It's like amazing, you know? And so I just, like, I go to sleep and I think about this, and I think that that's what makes this type of product really exciting, is that technology is always changing. And the way, you know, with electronics, I think what we're really trying to change is we're trying to take everyone in this room and make you not buy electronics based on price, right? And make you not a price shopper. And if we can do that, then we'll be successful.
So the question is, it's got really.
How do you find? How do you find cool shit?
Oh, well, we find stuff we like. I mean, we go
You make
shopping.
it sound too easy, though.
We go shopping. We have a lot of designers now who email us because we've been around for a while and we've worked with over 200 designers. So they all talk to each other and say, you know, I had a good experience with Of a Kind. They really helped me grow my business. And so their friends email us and we check out their stuff. We walk the trade shows. I mean, I think it comes down to something that probably everybody mentioned, which is taste. And I was going to say, well, I don't know if I have good taste, but I have taste that other people like. But I think I have good taste, and so I think that helps. And I think you do have to have good taste, or at least taste that enough other people share with you. And I think that's what Amazon doesn't have. And your quote really resonated because we went out to fundraise last year, and I think the most like gobsmacking question that we ever got from an investor was, but how will you compete with Amazon? And you say that this is like a quote that's mentioned all the time, and I definitely have never heard it before because I don't read enough business stuff, I guess, but...
And I read too much.
Yeah, exactly. And Erica and I repeat this quote all the time like it's a joke. Like, remember that time that asshole asked us how are we going to compete with Amazon? And you know, that's when you look across the table and you're like, I think we're in the wrong meeting right now. Like, we probably are not on the same page here, and you're probably not the right investor for us, and we're not the right company for you. And I think you just have to really believe that there's always going to be an audience out there who wants something other than Amazon.
And the one thing I'll just also echo with what you're saying is context means a lot, online or offline. I was blown away. So, fun fact, over Christmas we sold 4,000 books. By the way, that's a lot of books for a random store on 10th Avenue who's not a bookstore, and it shocked me. So this woman goes to pay, she buys 2 coffee table books, each $60, big, heavy. She goes, will you ship these overnight? And I'm watching this like fascinated, like it's anthropology. And I wanted to be like, there's this small site called Amazon, and it's a much bigger headache for me to ship you 2 damn books overnight than just go, I'll give you a tablet, I'll even order it for you. But my point is that I think context is everything, and in the same way Grand Street is kind of breaking through the noise and the clutter about design and functionality and impact. I think, you know, that context is everything.
So then I guess my next question is, how do you, you know, translate that passion for electronics or that experience of like this really cool designer that nobody knows about, how do you translate that into an experience online where everyone's staring at the same screen? You know, you can't make it this awesome store where you want to pay $120 for 2 books you could buy on Amazon for half the price. Like, how do you do that online?
I mean, I think the answer we would probably all give is content, editorial content. It's something that we focus on a lot, and we focus on it as much as we focus on selling pieces. And I think something that we've done really well, and this is credit to my co-founder, who is an editor and comes from magazines, she's developed a really strong and identifiable voice for us, and it's also authentic. It's how we talk to each other, and it's like, you know, the same voice that we use when we write emails to one another. So I think, you know, what Rachel's saying about context and wanting to, you know, feel a specific way versus how you feel on Amazon. When you come to Of a Kind, when you read the Of a Kind newsletters, you feel like you know us, and it's because you kind of do. We're talking to you about the things that go on in our daily life, and we're using the words that we use in our daily life. And I think it, you know, the internet is a really anonymous place. You can shop in your underwear, but when you feel like you're friends with the person who's selling something to you, I think that really makes a difference, and it actually increases the value of the product that you're buying. And it's, you know, beyond that, we're telling you about the designers who made the pieces, and that makes you feel connected as well. So you know us, and you know the designers, and suddenly that the transaction is not anonymous at all.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've learned is online commerce is not a utility, right? So if you have a text messaging app, it's all about being cheap, being fast, being usable, and that's great. But if you are trying to sell someone something, if you're trying to create a connection with someone, brand is important, and creating a voice and having a say is something that people respond to, and this is something that has been just, you know, sort of beat into people years and years and years and years of existing in the world of retail. And so, you know, I think that voice and brand and sort of having a say and saying what you believe in and what you don't believe in are things that are very important to people.
So how do you get an audience to even begin with, to pay attention to you I mean, the primary way that people use the web is utility. They're Google searching. So they're looking for something specific, and you're trying to show them something they've never heard of or from a designer they've never seen before and suddenly make them really interested. And granted, the stuff you're selling is great, but there's so much more to compete with versus like walking down the street and seeing a store. How do you get people's attention? And even when you're on 10th Avenue, which is farther away from, you know, your regular retail centers.
I think it's really tough, and I think especially when you're trying to do things at full price, which is what we do, and I think everyone here is, it's extremely tough. And I think in the past couple of years with kind of just flash sales and the fab.coms that really teach consumers to get addicted to discount, it was a battle, to be honest. Especially, I do think consumers are ready to buy niche and special, but there was just too much noise in the system. I think that recently, like literally quite recently in the past year, it's shifted and changed. But the reality is you gotta go where the people are. It's trying to build an engaged audience and build that over time. It happens, of course. It took like Net-a-Porter 10 years, and we do that very much the same way with Aha Life, organically building a great list and having the right voice and building that. But when you're a venture-backed company, it's very hard to scale that, to get it to a really large size very quickly and reach a really large audience. So one of the things that we are doing now, which I just mentioned in the very beginning, is partnering with media companies, because here's an industry that has the audience. We have millions of people that just read stuff all the time, and they have to go on Google and find them, or click on some affiliate link and go to Reward Style and go to another website and have to search for the product that they were actually reading about in the first place. And what we realize is that when you speak with editors of these magazines, they're actually constantly writing about niche brands. They don't want to be stuck and be forced to only write about Ralph Lauren or things that are already sold on large mass retailers. So part of our thing is saying we have this amazing catalog that we built. We work with over 3,000 brands on Aha Life, and actually partnering with media companies that already have an audience has actually been very effective for us. So I'm excited for the growth of that. I also think you have to do both. I think in internet, you have to do every channel. You have to be amazing at SEO. SEO for us is a huge, huge winner consistently. And we carry.
Is that because people are looking for the niche things that you're selling?
Yeah, because you know, we have this very cool French brand called iBright that sells animal trays that make animals look like people, that people out there are Googling all the time because it's a cult favorite among interior designers.
Okay.
So we have, if you have that at scale, at the thousands of level, which is where we're at right now, that actually adds up to a lot of dollars, and that works.
What about you guys?
I have lots of random Rachel theories, and so I just try and prove them out in my store because I can't sit still long enough to go to school or read a book. So one of them is that you can't compete on price, quality, and service alone anymore, and so that there needs to be a surprise and delight factor. So for us, that is community and entertainment, and I think I would argue that's the same thing for the three on the panel as well in their own form. And really, at the end of the day, it's true for all brands. We'll talk about retail brands tonight. But, you know, they're like people, right? You go in a store, you go on a website, like, what do they say to you, right? If they're complicated and difficult and it doesn't load, like, you're not gonna wanna go on a second date. Like, so they say something to you very quickly. And so, you know, for us, loyalty's in the form of community. You know, I just left today and we had the Children's Museum of Art doing a class for make your own pop-up cards for kids. And right now there's a lecture from 1229 on how to create a scent that represents your brand. And so for us, it's about content in the form of community, and I don't want to speak for them, but I think that that goes a long way. And so it's looking at it really like dating, to be honest, and building a relationship, and how do you make it one that lasts?
So for us, we spend like the vast majority of our time. So obviously, like, the battery geeking out is the fun part, but you know, you have to be extremely dedicated to data, right? Because that's the one advantage you have from being online and from being digital, is you can literally look at every single person that comes to your site. You can see what they do, you can see what they click on, you can see where they go. There is a spectrum of tools around, you know, specifically tracking people's behavior on your site, right? So one example is there's a tool called Lucky Orange, and it basically is a video of what someone is doing on your site in real time, right? So you look at it and, you know, it's a little bit heartbreaking. This is kind of like a very sad story for me to tell, but, you know, we used to have our photo gallery at the bottom of the page. And so, you know, we watched video after video after video of people that come to the site, look at the top photo, scroll past all of the text that we had just like put our heart and soul into writing, and look at the photos, right? And so we then moved the gallery up to the top. Like, sales went up, conversions went up, time on site went up, and it was just, you know, it's like the decision becomes obvious when you figure out a way to use data to your advantage, but you have to go in with the attitude of this sort of non-judgmental, I'm not gonna get attached to anything on my page because, like, I wanna make sure that I'm giving people what they want, right? And if they have to scroll all the way to the bottom, when you cut that out, all of a sudden you make them just like a teeny little bit happier, and that's, you know, that makes the experience on your site better. And so I think for us, we take a very micro approach to our experience.
I'm so impressed by the story, and we do not have the same story at all, because we are not technologists ourselves. We launched with $100,000 and have taken a little bit since then, but have mostly more or less bootstrapped our business, and our technology is not awesome. So I think one of the strategies we have taken is to go where we think our audience is. And so we launched in 2010, which, if you can recall, was not only a very popular time for Tumblr, but a time when fashion was really discovering Tumblr. So we were like, okay, we're gonna launch our business on Tumblr. Mostly because we didn't know better that you couldn't really launch e-commerce on Tumblr, but we figured out a way to piece it together, and we had a lot of followers on Tumblr, and so a lot of people were getting all of our content and all of their product right in their Tumblr stream. And we happened to launch on the same day as Google Boutique, so the press got it really confused and said Google launched e-commerce and Tumblr did too. And that was, like, honestly how we found our first audience, by that dumb luck. And then we started figuring out that people are in their inbox all damn day long, and that if we sent them an email, they were likely to open it and check it out and maybe buy something. And so email has been a really big thing for us. That's where our audience is. They're checking their email all day. I think that's where most people are, sadly, and so that's been really big for us. And it's only now in our third year, when we've made some money, that we can sort of throw around, that we've started to really explore marketing in the more serious academic ways that the other panelists have described. But before, it's been, finding bloggers that are like-minded and other companies that are like-minded.
So the next challenge then, if you have a great curated product, a cool experience, and an eager audience that you've analyzed or not analyzed and won over, is how to scale. Because some of you guys have raised VC, some of you haven't, or maybe some a little bit, but how big of a business can something that's curated and special and anti-Amazon really be? And have you guys encountered any challenges in sort of figuring out what that is?
Yeah, so I would say, one thing for us, right, is you continue to pass these milestones and you think oh man, if I just get someone to order from my site who's not like my cousin or my dad, we're done. We are successful, and then it happened, and it was this huge moment. I was like, wow, this guy's in Chicago. I've never heard of him. I Google image searched him. I was like, I have no idea who you are. And so that is you pass. I'm sorry, I didn't really, but you pass that milestone, and then all of a sudden it just every single sort of step after that is just as difficult as the first. It's just that there's more zeros, right? And so, in the beginning, you really, really fight for 10 people. I want 10 people to sign up today. And then the next day, it's I want 100 people to sign up today. And then the next day, it's I really need 10,000 people to sign up for my site today. And so that's just, the game changes along the way. And I think the way that you make decisions change, the way that you spend your time changes. But it's just as easy or difficult every single step along the way.
For us, I think one thing that we have done well is listen to the business and let the business tell us how to grow. And we've had the freedom to do that because we haven't been successful at fundraising. And one of the things that happened is that when we first started the business and everybody said, well, how are you going to scale? Are you just going to go into different verticals? And we were like, sure, yeah, we can do that. We'll be we'll do fashion, and then we'll do limited edition baby diapers or whatever. And we just were like, yeah, sure, that works. But what happened was that as the business grew and we started talking to our customers, we started hearing a story repeated all the time, and that was that someone would say, oh my God, I found this Lizzie Fortunato necklace on your website, and I fell in love with it. And so then I went to Shop and I bought everything else in Lizzie Fortunato's collection. Which was nice, but mostly really bittersweet, because it was why did Shop just make all that money that we generated for them? We generated that sale for them. Yet we only have 20 Lizzie Fortunato necklaces, because that's the business model that we strapped ourselves into, and we completely fucked ourselves. And so what we figured out was that actually what we're doing is marketing in the form of retail. We're doing really phenomenal marketing for all of these designers, and so what we need to do is be able to get people excited about these designers who we love by giving them limited edition pieces and stories about these designers, and then also give them the rest of the collection for them to explore from those designers. And so that's ultimately where our business is moving, and now we're hosting a lot of the full collections of these designers, and that's something that we didn't know we were going to do from day one. We didn't really know much of what we were going to do from day one, but that's something that very quickly we realized was the right thing for us, because we were in a position to be able to talk to our customers and hear what they wanted and hear how they were behaving.
So I thought about scale from sort of day one when founded the company. Maybe it helps to have worked on Wall Street, again, briefly, just like you, Marvin, for a year. The concept initially of Aha Life is we don't think of ourselves as a retail company. Coming from my investment banking days, thinking that retail companies are usually valued at 1 to 2x revenues. You're really as good as your sales the previous year. Even if you have an engaged audience, you have to make sure you have the full funnel down, enough inventory to continue to show that profitability. What's the real enterprise value that comes from it? And obviously, you can argue brand, but when you're really thinking about creating value, day one, we wanted to create an enterprise company that was based on creating a platform, meaning services and technology that actually happens to sit in the retail space And we thought about like, what is the void in the market that what we want to address? We looked at Etsy actually as a great model of saying Etsy is a great platform for handmade goods. Handmade mom and pop designers from all over the world are coming onto Etsy and showing their wares. Amazon is a platform company that helps all those mass products that we are looking for and Googling every single day. We felt that there was not a platform for premium brands, especially in the luxury space and especially in lifestyle, because in the fashion ready-to-wear space, there are the Net-a-Porters and the Shopbops and even the Saks Fifth Avenues that have done pretty well online, where you know the brands and you can go search for them. But in lifestyle, the average consumer doesn't know these brands. It's no different than the Wayfair story. Like, the average consumer can't name 5 chair brands, but they know the kind of chairs they're looking for. So the idea of aggregating these brands into one platform made a lot of sense. So we thought about scale day one, which is why I think we have gone forward and raised like Series A and Series B, etc. I was thinking, like, how do we solve this problem? And what we spend the bulk of our money on is actually investing in tools and services for the brands. So we see the brands first and foremost as our main audience. And the consumers, we optimize across every single channel and every single funnel to go and find them and create a value proposition that will remain competitive in the marketplace.
Rachel, what about you? The brick and mortar representative, how do you think about scale and growth?
Well, I just want to preface this by saying I don't think Amazon's the enemy. I might be the only person in the room, but I just don't.
Amazon. I'm with you.
Yeah, so I buy a lot from Amazon. I don't know. So I just needed to say that.
You see yourself in a different category.
Well, it's not even, I don't even think about it, to be honest with you. Like, I just focus on myself. I'm not worried about anyone else. Like, I get dressed in the morning and I don't think about what anyone else is wearing, so why should I give a damn what anyone else is selling? Sorry, that's just me. So, scale, okay, so Rachel theories, remember those? So I had a theory, so in traditional retail, right? Statistic is, in brick and mortar retail, average break even is year 3, and you're lucky if you make money in year 3. So I was consulting before this. It was one big royal accident. I've been doing it for 13 years. I tested out all my theories on my clients, and that's when Story was born after that. But the theory was this, is that you could create a creatively compelling experience and still be financially successful. So I wanted to have a badass store that was creative and cool, but I also wanted to make money and do it in our first year. And so we did that. And so that's the good news. But the bad news is that that was really the reason why I did it. And so now we're in our 2nd year, and we're growing and we doubled our business, but I didn't really have a plan to be a brand or to grow. And so I could tell you 10 million different ways we could scale, but I'm still deciding if I even want to do that or just test another Rachel theory.
I think that's a big challenge of this whole curated thing, is that once it scales, is it special anymore? Because now everyone can have it, and it's not like one of a kind or whatever. But anyways, we don't have any more time to talk about that. I'm going to go to audience questions. Does anybody have any questions for our brilliant panelists? Somebody back there?
Yeah, I'm coming with a microphone. I'm the Van and Y Combinator. Who was it?
Hi, what were the most important things, especially in the beginning or the middle, that you said no to that really shaped your business?
Good question.
I think for us, the biggest thing was, people asked us a lot in the beginning whether we were ever going to sell TVs, because I think that that's such an iconic piece of electronics. And we started the site in 2012, and since then I think that this idea of new hardware has really evolved in terms of people's understanding and consciousness about sort of what's coming down the line from a technology perspective. But I think that people's understanding of electronics is going to change over the next few years, and so we said we really had to kind of dismiss this major revenue stream, which was like, no, we're never going to sell televisions and cell phones. And that's, if you look at Radio Shack, if you look at Best Buy, like that's, and Apple, obviously, it's like that's what they're selling. They sell laptops, they sell cell phones, and they sell televisions, right? And so for us, we said, look, there's everything else, and that's going to replace all of these categories over the next few years, and like you just need to wait. And so I think that was something that was really, really, really hard for us in the beginning. But you know, since then, I think we've, you know, you see it in the numbers, right? And it's really happening and it's real.
Other important no's.
Yeah, I would say first is no to discount. And the second one is no to the wrong kind of capital. Because I think a lot of times as an entrepreneur, anyone gives you money, you take it. And the lesson I learned is whoever you take money from, it's no different than someone you would hire full-time in your company, especially as a CEO. You're basically married to them, and it's very important to pick the right capital.
We said no to a reality TV show, and I still feel pretty good about that.
Nice work. Any other questions out there? Anyone?
Okay, one more. This is, I think, our last question.
Okay.
Hi. Who do you guys refer to? I'm curious about who you refer to in the e-commerce space or brick and mortar, either as inspiration or competition or see what's up, or if you feel like you're running in the same race or so on and so forth.
Yeah, I was gonna say for us, we greatly admire ASOS. I think they're an amazing, incredible marketplace. They've done such a great job staying true to their brand, but also getting to scale. I mean, they're the billion-dollar company that I feel like no one ever talks about as much as they should. And it's an amazing company, so.
When we talk about competition, we talk about markets. We are very much in this middle, sort of what's called contemporary market. It sits in between the ASOS and the H&M and the Shop Nasty Gal of the world, and then on the other side, the luxury brands, so like Gucci and all of the really expensive guys. And it's a market that's really kind of been squeezed out in the last decade, and it's just starting to come back as there's been more of a consciousness on the part of consumers towards quality pieces that are made in an environmentally and ethically responsible way. And so when we look at competition, we look at the fast fashion retailers who are making pieces that are similar to ours for a third of the price, but they're really crappy quality, or the people on the luxury side of it who are making pieces that are really similar to ours but stamped with a logo that make it seem more valuable to somebody else. And for us, I think it's about trying to educate a consumer to the value of that middle market.
So for me, it's Beats by Dre. I think that they really proved over the last few years that people care about what they're putting from the neck up, right? And there's this whole idea that it's not only about audio quality, that there is aesthetics in electronics, and I think that that's this wave that's coming that's very exciting.
Cool. Rachel, you have an answer?
So full disclosure, I'm an advisor to the company I'm about to mention. How many people have heard of Quirky? Most of this room, hopefully. Oh no, Quirky. That's even cooler. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you quickly what it is. You know those moments when you're like, I wish they made a product that did this? So you go on the website, you submit your idea, and if enough people like it, they make it, they sell it, and you make money. So the most famous product they've made is the Pivot Power. It's a power strip that moves so you can get all your plugs in it. And so everything about that, from entertainment to community, to income, to democratizing access, is something that inspires me. And so for those who didn't raise their hand, check it out. And on Thursday night, they do this cool thing called eval, where you sit like this, and live, streaming online, they evaluate products, and then people get knighted makers, and then their product is made.
Nice. All right, well, please join me in thanking our awesome panelists.